It all started when the Russians started to move southward, and their goal was always to reach warm water like the Persian Gulf. They couldn't go south towards the Ottomans, and that is why they decided to attack Iran. The Russians took a lot of land, including the Caucasus and Central Asia, but they were never successfully able to reach the Persian Gulf. If they wanted to attack from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, they couldn't because the British was there. But this isn't a video about Russian history. It's about Tajikistan, a country in Central Asia. In videos before this, we always spoke about how the British and the French cut up the Middle East and they made borders that didn't make sense. When you look at the map of Central Asia, you see a lot of mistakes and borders that don't make sense either, and this side, it was all done by the Russians. They separated Tajikistan from Greater Iran, and they didn't even fit all the Tajiks in there. The majority of Tajiks live in Afghanistan. After Afghanistan, they are in Tajikistan, and after this, they are in Uzbekistan. The Russians really wanted to mess with everything. The capital of Tajikistan, which is Dushanbe, was changed to Stalinabad, but eventually in 1961, they realized that they made a huge mistake and changed it back to Dushanbe. The second largest city in Tajikistan is the city of Khojand, and they wanted to name it Leninabad, but they decided not to. But that was a joke. The biggest and most famous road that passes Tajikistan is the M41, which is basically the same route as the old Silk Road that was used for thousands of years. But of course now it's paved. If you want to get to know Tajikistan, you have to look at Greater Iran and in the section of Greater Khorasan. The reason this place was called Khorasan in ancient Iran is because that's where the sun rose. Khor means sun, and Khorasan means a place where the sun rises. Another meaning behind it is the eastern province, because Khorasan was always the eastern province of the Persian Empire. When you look at the border of Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, a few cities of Tajikistan is located in Uzbekistan, and the most famous ones is Samarkand and Bukhara. Tajikistan and this border you're seeing is the third most mountainous country in the world. 93% of this country is mountain. The Indian subcontinent that caused the Himalayas to rise, it also caused Tajikistan to be very mountainous, and it's always pushing against it, so these lands are always becoming more mountainous. These mountains cause Tajikistan to be prone to earthquakes, but alongside that, there is some benefits. Tajikistan has more than 900 rivers that flow through it, and it's all thanks to these mountains. The biggest river is this called Vakhsh, and on this river there is the second tallest dam in the whole world, the Nuruk Dam. Tajikistan has so many rivers that most of its electricity comes from dams. But with all that, Tajikistan's economy is not that great. Its biggest exports is cotton, and it has a lot of aluminum that it exports. Only 3% of the mountains of Tajikistan has a forest, but even with all that, it has plenty of different animals you've never seen before. Like for example, the Tajik brown bear, which is another version of the Himalayan brown bear. In Tajikistan, there are so many different types of birds that it's hard to name them all. But there is plenty of them that pass by and live here all the time. The national animal of Tajikistan is the Caspian tiger, but unfortunately it's extinct. You should know that Tajikistan speaks Farsi, but since they were in Russian hand for such a long time, they use Cyrillic alphabet. Iran, Afghanistan, and Tajikistan all speak the same language, but they all have different accents, but they can all understand each other. Even though 90% of the population has to be taught Russian in school and they know it, but all of them speak Farsi. The government of Tajikistan is a secular, and that means there is no religion involved with the government. And an interesting law is that hijab is actually outlawed. And if you want to wear a hijab, you have to wear it like this. If you're under 18, you can't enter a mosque until you have permission, and you can't go to Mecca under the age of 35. You can't also have a long thick beard in Tajikistan because it is known as extreme behavior. Another thing that's illegal in Tajikistan is choosing Arabic names. Even though the president of the country has an Arabic name, which is Imam Ali Rahman, but it's still illegal, so the children can only receive Persian names. This man is the president of Tajikistan, and he was voted in place, but he has been the president ever since, and he's been at it for 29 years, so he's considered a dictator. Another interesting thing his government did was got rid of the OV suffix from names. Like the president himself was Imam Ali Rahmanov, but he changed it to Imam Ali Rahman. Basically, what the Tajiks are trying to do is get rid of the Russian culture that they didn't want in the first place, and finally get back to their true roots. In the Soviet Union, gold teeth was very famous, and that is why you see older people in Tajikistan with gold teeth. Let's continue. What's the history of Tajikistan? Tajikistan history is part of Greater Iran in the Achaemenid Empire, the Parthian Empire, the Sasanian Empire, the Samanids. It was always part of Iran. And this is the presidential flag of Tajikistan, which has the Sasanian Empire flag, which is called the Derafsha Kaviani. This country is an interesting place, and it's always worth visiting. Like the Shirkent dinosaur trails, the proto-urban site of Saraz, which was here 3,400 years before Christ, or the ancient Panjikent, the Yamchun Fort, Khojand, Holbuk, Hisor, the tomb of Rudaki, the statue of Rudaki, the National Museum of Tajikistan, the National Library of Tajikistan, and plenty of bazaars everywhere, which is a huge part of Tajik culture, and of course, a lot of natural beauty that you wouldn't regret seeing. Before I let you go, let's understand the meaning of Tajikistan. What does Tajik even mean? Tajik means an Iranian or Persian person, and back in the day they used this term to refer to a Tajik, which means not a Turk or an Arab. Another meaning of Tajik is Eastern Iranian. This was a small look into Tajikistan's history. If you know more about this place and its people, please leave a comment.